Hey friends, so today I am doing something fun. This is a part of a little freebie that I am including in my Friday email to all my subscribers. So if you are not subscribed, you're going to want to head down below and be sure to do that. And so that you don't miss out on next week's free email pattern. But basically what today's video is going to be is a tutorial on how to make all of these super fun and cute kitchen rags. They're full of lots of texture. It's 5 different types, and all of them are a stitch that may be one you're familiar with. It may be brand new to you. I don't know, but I thought you would enjoy checking out today's video and learning how to make these 5 kitchen rags. So without further ado, let's get started. Alrighty, so today I am using the cotton by We Are Knitters. I love this cotton. It is so squishy, and of course it is vibrant and beautiful. If you are new around here, I have a love affair with color. All things color, I love them all. And you will see a lot of color in my designs. I do have a great appreciation for neutrals, so don't fear. I don't want my neutral lovers to be afraid of me and my designs, but just know you're going to see lots of color. So Pima cotton is what I'm using today, but the Sugar and Cream by Lily is another great option, especially if you don't want quite as stretchy of a yarn, or maybe you don't want to spend the money on a Pima cotton. But I will say, I just want to mention this, one of these balls will make you 3 rags, whereas a Lily's will make you about 1.5. But obviously Lily's is a little easier to get your hands on and much faster if you live here in the States and Canada. So that being said, that's the yarn. And then you're going to need 2 crochet hooks. So this is actually a Tunisian hook. I unhooked it because I couldn't find my other 5.5 millimeter, but this works just as well. And then, of course, we've just got a regular old 5 millimeter hook with a little bit of paint on the end. Can you see a kiddo got a hold of that and did some stirring? So for the very first rag, it's very simple and easy. We're just going to pop open this ball of yarn, and we are going to dive right in. So hopefully the center pull won't be too hard to locate. Oh, does that ever happen? Look at that, right there in the first pull. It's pretty exciting. Hopefully it is not the wrapped part. I think we're in the clear. I think we're good. Wow. Center pull right there. Perfect. Okie dokie. So we're going to make a slip stitch, and the way I make a slip stitch is I put my tail on the left-hand side, put my working yarn on the right, stick my fingers in between, twist once, go down and grab that working yarn, pull it up, and boom. You want to make sure you leave yourself a long enough tail so that you can weave in those ends. So to begin, we are going to make, let's make the handy dandy kitchen rag. So this is just a chain of 30. So here's, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, coming up to our little thing, 26, 27, 28, 29, and 30. So in the second chain from the hook, this does not count as a chain. We're talking about down here. We've got 1, 2, and our second chain from the hook, we're just going to work a single crochet. And then continue all the way across, working those same single crochets. Alrighty, so once we get to the end, we just chain 1 and we turn. So this stitch is fun and a little challenging, but once you get through the first row, it gets to be a little easier. And I should have mentioned you want to kind of crochet a little loose there on that first one, but that's all right. So right here, if you can see, let me actually pull this out, and I'm going to use this green thing as a pointer. So you've got your normal stitch right there on the top, okay? Then you've got this little loop right here, also known as the third stitch. Then below that, you kind of have like an upside down V or like a partially finished A. So what we're actually going to do is we're going to stick our hook right in between there and pull up and like make a single crochet below. This is also known as the waistcoat stitch. I cannot talk today. Waistcoat stitch or the faux knit stitch, because it kind of emulates stockinette net knitting that you see in a lot of beautiful knit pieces. So that being said, we are going to wiggle our hook through there. Again, this first pass through to kind of set this up is a little challenging because these stitches tend to be a little bit tighter, but nevertheless, you can totally do it. Just don't do what I did and just crochet a bit more loose. But like I said, we're just going to make it happen. Okay, so what we will do is underneath that third stitch, which is right there, we're going to stick that hook. And what I like to do is I like to use my index finger behind the stitch, and I use that as pressure to kind of guide that hook through. Especially if you are a tighter crocheter. I want to mention, see, I didn't even get in it. I want to mention, go up a hook size. That will alleviate a lot of problems for you. And just make sure you draw up high enough, and that way that stitch, see, already that stitch is bigger for when we make the next pass. So stick your hook in there. Especially if you're working with a Lily's cotton, that is a much stiffer cotton. And for this particular rag, you might want to go up a hook size. So again, this first row is the wonky row. But obviously you can tell those stitches are already bigger. So you just keep going into those little almost finished A's, and then I'll do one more row so that you can see how easy it is after you get this kind of base row to this stitch completed. Okay, so here we are again, and for the last stitch, we are going to want to just work a regular single crochet. So you don't got to worry about going into that stitch below. We just work in that regular single crochet, chain one and turn. And so now you can see like it's going to be a little bit easier to get right there. So your chain one is going to count as a single crochet. And then from here on out, this is the pattern row repeat. It's just working those single crochets below for a total of 35 rows. So what I'm going to do is work up the rest of these, and then I'm going to come back and I'm going to show you how to do the edging. And basically the edging is the same on all of the rags. So I will show you how to do the edging for all the rags. And I will also include timestamps as well in the description, and I'll do a pinned comment so that you can know which rag you want. And if you don't want to mess around with any of that, then feel free to get yourself the PDF over in my shop, and that way you can make these rags for either yourself and or a friend or friends. I tried to switch them up and make them good for scrubbing. This particular one, the reason why I called it the handy dandy rag is because this one is great for a rag, but it is also great for being a pot holder as well because of how dense it is. So I love that fact about this particular stitch, because as you can see, we've definitely got some thickness there. And so, you know, if you go to fold the rag like that, as it's worked up, it is plenty safe to grab a pot out of the oven. That's one of the ways I use them. So yeah, I'm going to finish this up, pop back on, show you how to do the edging, and then I will show you the stitches and the repeats for the other 4 rags. Alrighty, so once you've got your rag worked up, just to clarify, I didn't do the full 35 rows. I just did about halfway, a little over half, and this is a good for a pot holder size. But nevertheless, this is what it looks like worked up, so you can see it definitely mimics that stockinette stitch as I mentioned. So once you complete the rows and you get to the end, you're going to chain 1, and then right there in that corner space, we're going to place 2 single crochets together in the same space. Then as we work down the side, on any project, you're not technically going to have stitches like what you would here at the top and the bottom. So the main goal is to make sure that you're just evenly spacing these apart. And we put those 2 there in the corner. And as we move along, you can kind of see natural places where you could put stitches. So you've got here, you've got here. And you just start putting those single crochets for that edging in those spaces. So just working it along and just placing those single crochets all along the edges like so. Okay, and as you approach a corner, like right here, you're going to want to put 3 single crochet all in that same corner. And the reason for doing this is it helps give us a nice rounded edge. And what I like to do is I just grab that tail and I just continue on with single crochets along the bottom row. And you're going to do this all the way around your rags. Just remember, keep, you want to place 3 single crochet in each of the corners. So you're going to go all the way around, meeting back up here. So go ahead and do that, and then I'll meet you back and show you how to do the little loop. Alrighty, and here we are on our last stitch back to where we started. And essentially what we're going to do is we will slip stitch to that top of that chain 3 and chain up 8, and then right there where we just slip stitched, we're going to slip stitch 1 more time, and then there you have it. So that would be your loop right there. So you can hang it you know, on a hook, wherever you want. And that is kind of, like I said, the pot holder size. So about 3/4 of the size called for the rag size of the pattern. So now what we're going to do is, since you already know how to do the edging, and like I said, the edging is the exact same on every rag, you just want to make sure you put those 3 single crochet together in each of the corners, and then this is optional. You don't actually have to add the loop. So now I'm going to show you how to work up the row repeats for the next 4 rags. Alrighty, so I have chained up 30, and now we are going to work on the, I think I called it the wipe those crunchies. I'll have it marked down below. So just in the second chain from the hook, we're going to start with a slip stitch. So a slip stitch is simple. It's a insert your hook, yarn over, pull through, and pull through. And then the next one is a half double crochet. So that's a yarn over, insert your hook, yarn over, draw up a loop. You'll have 3 on your hook, yarn over, pull through all 3. And then a slip stitch, and then a half double crochet. Slip stitch, half double crochet. And you just continue this pattern all the way across, alternating between a slip stitch and, like I just did, I almost did a single crochet. When you do the slip stitches, sometimes you're gonna forget that you're making a slip stitch and not a single crochet. So that happens to me a handful of times when I'm working up this pattern. So just slip stitches and half double crochets. You do this all the way across. So go ahead and do that. I'll meet you at the end of the row and show you how to start the next one. Okay, so we ended with a slip stitch, and that means we're going to do a chain 2. So we chain 2 and we turn, and that chain 2 counts as our half double crochet. So now we're going to slip stitch into the next one and then half double crochet. And so this is all this one is. It's just an alternating between these 2 rows, and you work it up until you hit 35 rows, and then you have the option of adding the border that I just told you. So really simple. I'll go ahead and work all the way across, show you how to finish it, and begin the next row for the 2-row repeat. Alrighty, so I'm getting to the end of my row. I have 1 stitch left, and that is a half double crochet. So I'm going to work the half double crochet right into the end, and then I'm going to do a chain 1 because I finished the row with a half double and I'm starting with a slip stitch. So the chain 1 either is a slip stitch or it's the chain 2, which makes it a half double crochet. So this, and I'll put the name of each of the rags underneath as the time starts, and I'll also timestamp them as well. And this is all you do. It's a repeat of row 1 and row 2 for all the rows necessary. And the finished rag ends up looking like this. So lots of texture and really good for scrubbing. And this is it with the border and the little hook right there. And this is also the Lily's yarn. So a little bit more stiff, but still has got some good flex to it. So that is it for the wipe the crunchies, I believe it is, or clean the crunchies rag pattern. And we're going to move on to the next one. Alrighty, so we have chained 30 once again, and all we're going to do is in the second chain from the hook, we're just going to work those single crochets, and we're going to do that all the way across. And this rag is the Clean Lines rag. You will find 3 of these 5 rags with the full pattern details on my blog. I'll go ahead and link that post below. But if you want to have the PDF with pictures and tips and tricks and all that good stuff, you can purchase that pattern PDF in my shop, and I will link that down below as well. So you just can decide what you want, and for all 5 patterns in the PDF, it's just $6. And then if you don't want to mess with that, you still have 3 pattern options available completely free on the blog, and everything will be linked down below. So we're just working our way across with these single crochets, and as I said, this is the Clean Lines rag. This one again is good for scrubbing because of the texture, as you will see in just a moment. So as we're working across, we're just doing single crochets, so really simple and basic. And the next row is where things get fun. So now we're going to chain 1 and turn. And I mentioned in the first rag that you have your top stitch right there, that's the little V, and then you have this little hump going across right there, and that is also referred to as the 3rd chain. So all we're going to do is we're going to grab that 3rd chain, we're going to go right underneath it like so, and we're going to yarn over and just work a single crochet. And so instead of working single crochets in the normal stitch space, we're working them here in the 3rd stitch. So just creating some dimension and texture, and I'm going to do up a couple more stitches real quick, and then I'm going to turn it over just for a second to show you what it looks like and how crocheting in that 3rd stitch gives us a really fun, unique texture. When I first saw 3rd stitch in a pattern, I had no idea what that was, and it took this was years ago, so it took a little bit of digging on Google and YouTube to figure out what the third stitch was. And it was actually, if you are familiar with some of the online designers, it was from the Velvet Acorn. It was one of her patterns, and it made reference to the third stitch. And I was just like, what in the world is the third stitch? I had no idea what it was. But after I figured it out, it took me a couple days to kind of get a really good tutorial. This was like pre good lighting on YouTube, when everything was kind of dark and blurry. It was a while ago, but I finally figured it out, and I really enjoy this stitch. I think it's a lot of fun. And like I said, it creates just such a great texture, and I'll pop it over just for a second. So as you can see, we've only got one row, but you've got this nice defined little line, hence the name Clean Lines Rag. It's just got a good clean line right there. And you make that texture just by popping a single crochet right here in this third stitch. So I love it how you can just make a small variation of what you would normally do. Or I'm sorry, rather alteration would be the right word. A small alteration to what you would normally do. So normally we'd be making single crochets up here in these V's, but we're just kind of going back behind here, and then we get a whole new look. That's always a lot of fun. I love that about crocheting and knitting and Tunisian crochet. The smallest little change can make the biggest difference. So we're coming up to the end here, and when we get to the last stitch, you're not technically going to have a third stitch to go into. So that last stitch is just going to be worked as normal in that top single crochet stitch. So don't stress or worry about that. We chain one and we turn. And from here, our chain one counts as a single crochet, and we're just working normal single crochets all the way across. So there'll be a little bit of a space between your little clean lines right here. And once you finish this single crochet all the way across row, you're just going to chain one and turn and do exactly what we just did. Work those single crochets in the third stitch. So again, this is just a simple 2-row repeat. Very easy, and you work it up and add that border that I showed you in the beginning, like it said in the pattern. So now we will move on to the next rag. Okay, so for the next one, we are going to be doing the Criss-cross applesauce bag. So this one is kind of fun, and you chain 31 rather than 30. So we start kind of similar to the other ones in the second chain from the hook. So we've got this one on our hook. We go down to the second, and we're just going to work these single crochets. You're going to do your single crochets all the way across, and when we get to the end of the row, I will show you what you need to do to make the Criss-cross applesauce rag. Alrighty, so we are at the end of the row. We're going to chain 2 and we're going to turn. That chain 2 counts as a half double crochet, and then next up what we'll do is we're going to skip this stitch and we're going to work a half double crochet into the next stitch. Then we're going to put a half double crochet in that stitch we just skipped, giving us that crisscross applesauce look, which is fun. So we skip the next stitch, half double crochet into the next one, then we half double crochet into the stitch we just skipped, and crisscross applesauce. Now I'm going to have you guys saying crisscross applesauce every time you make one of these. So we skip that one, and we half double crochet into the next one, and then we half double crochet into that one that we skipped, just like so. And I'll go slow right here so you can see. Skip, do your half double crochet, just like so, and then we're going to half double crochet into that one we skipped. So we've got our yarn over. You just take your hook, insert it like that, grab that yarn, come right back out, pull it up, yarn over, and pull through, just like that. So it's just skipping and crisscrossing. Real simple. Skipping and crisscrossing. Just like that. So do that all the way across, and then in your very last stitch, you're just going to work a half double crochet. So you'll do these crisscrosses all the way across in between that first half double crochet and that last half double crochet. And this one is fun, especially if you are using a solid color, because you see the stitch more. I made it in a multicolored yarn, and while I love the multicolored yarn and think it's beautiful, you couldn't see the stitch definition quite as well, and so I was like, oh, that's a bummer. But this one definitely shows itself off on a solid color. So in the very last stitch, we just work a regular old half double crochet, and then we do a chain one. This counts as a single crochet, and we just do those single crochets all the way across, and you just repeat that. You repeat a single crochet row to a crisscross applesauce row. Real simple. And then once you work up the amount of rows you need to for the pattern, you can choose to add your border, and you can choose to add the ring. So I believe we are on our final rag, and that rag, I have to remind myself what I named it. It is very late. This is the one that we're going to do next, is the Blowin' Bubbles rag. It's probably the most intermediate level rag, but it's fun, and it's got a bobble and cute, and definitely one that I would recommend if you are like making a cute little handmade gift. So for somebody who's having a baby. So if you're making like a little layette set, you could include these fun little bobble rags, especially in a Pima cotton. And they're just really cute. They're bobbles and they're cute. So there's your crisscross applesauce little tutorial on how to do that stitch repeat. So last but not least is the Blowin' Bubbles rag, and we're going to do that one next. All right, we're on the Blowin' Bubbles rag. So we have done a chain of 33, and again, second chain from the hook, we are going to work half double crochets all the way across. So work your half doubles all the way across for row 1, and then after we complete row 1, we begin our 4-row repeat for the Blowin' Bubbles rag. We got to the end of our row. Now we're going to chain 2 and turn. So the chain 2 counts as a half double crochet, and then we're going to place a bobble stitch into the next one, and this is kind of a half double crochet bobble. So your yarn over, insert your hook, yarn over, draw up a loop, yarn over, pull through only 2, yarn over, insert into the same stitch, yarn over, draw up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. Do that one more time. So we've got a total of 4 loops on our hook. We yarn over, we pull through all 4, and then do a chain 1 to close it off. And then we work 3 half double crochets, 1 in each of these next 3 stitches. And then we work another bobble stitch. And all of this, this is one of the bonus patterns in the pattern set. So this is the one that you would get in the PDF. And I have included all of the instructions on how to complete the bobble stitch and all of that. So, you know, if you're hoping to buy the PDF and you're like, what's in it? All of that is in there. And these bobbles are silly, like they can lay flat, but you just pop them out. So just little side note of information. All right, so I'm going to do another bobble, and I'm going to do it a little slow. So a yarn over, insert your hook, yarn over, draw up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. Yarn over again, insert your hook into the same stitch, yarn over, draw up a loop, yarn over, pull through only 2. Yarn over again, insert into that same stitch for the last time, yarn over, draw up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. We have 4 loops remaining on our hook. We yarn over and we pull through all 4 of the loops and chain 1 to close it off. Just like that. You continue all the way across, repeating that same little process, and you're going to end with, let me see, you're going to end with 2 half double crochets in the last 2 stitches. So you'll notice that our bobbles, as we work them up, they're kind of in the windows of one another. So real fun, and I tried to make sure that they were symmetrical and, you know, correctly spaced apart so it didn't look wonky or anything like that. So real simple. Don't let bobbles intimidate you. Oh, and I forgot to mention, this is where you would switch to your 5mm hook, but I was already using this one, so it's totally fine. The 5mm hook just helps the bobble be a bit more crisp. So, but that's, again, that's in the pattern notes. I was just trying to go off memory. So you just keep doing this all the way across. And like I said, you're going to end this row with 2 half double crochet. So we're almost there. We've got our bobble. And then our last 2 half doubles, just like so. And then we're going to chain 2 and we turn. I'm just confirming. So now we're just going to do half doubles all the way across. And one little thing that I want to mention, remember whenever we did this right here, when we closed it, that stitch right there is technically a part of that bobble. So what we want to do is that chain 1 where we closed it. So if you look, you see how like one is a little bit smaller and this one's kind of elongated. So you're going to crochet here. You're going to skip over that longer one because if you add it in there, you'll actually be increasing the amount on the row. So you don't want to do that. You just single crochet into that skinny one right above the elongated one. And if you look, the stitch over the bobble, you have a normal size and then kind of an elongated one. And again, there's an elongated one and a normal size. So you half double crochet into that normal sized one right above the bobble, skip over that long one, and then do your half doubles as normal all the way across. And you can kind of see it right here too. So these 2 stitches right here, and then you've got kind of this long one right here, you half double into those 2 like that. And then we're going to skip that long one and then half double into the other ones as we work our way across. So I just wanted to mention that. And I did put it, again, I put that in the notes, but for anybody that just needs that visual clarification of like, what is she talking about? That is what I mean. You just want to make sure that you don't add an extra stitch. That will definitely throw your rag way out of whack. And we do not want that. We want to have cute, fun looking rags. So do this all the way across and meet me back and we will start the third row in this pattern repeat. Alrighty, so we completed that half double crochet row. We're going to chain 2, and for the third row in our repeat, and again you can pop those little bobbles out, we are going to do 3 half double crochet. So that chain 2 counts as our half double crochet. So here's our second one, our third one, and now we're going to do a bobble stitch into that next one. So we know how to work our bobble, right? Say, of course we do. And I'll go slow on the next couple, just in case you don't. But we do 3 half doubles right there. Okay, and then you work another bobble. Just like so. And then 3 more half doubles. And then a bobble into the next one. So it's a yarn over, insert your hook, yarn over, draw up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, insert your hook, yarn over, draw up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, insert your hook, yarn over, draw up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, and then a yarn over, pull through all 4 with a chain 1. And then 3. And I do want to mention one of the reasons why I have you using the 5mm as opposed to the 5.5 is because the 5mm is going to give you a little bit more of a closed look. So this would not be one that you would want to use as a pot holder because of how porous the seam is. So I just want to mention that. This one's more just for being pretty, and again, like I said, I think it's great as a baby shower gift to match like a layette set, or if you're doing like a diaper cake, or even if you were doing like a goodies bucket and you put like bath stuff in it, these would be perfect. And if you use the We Are Knitters Pima cotton, there are so many color choices, so you can't, oops, didn't mean to bump the camera. You can't run out of options. There's a little bit of something for everyone. Okay, so this is the third row of this repeat. So we're coming up to the end, and this particular row is going to end with 4 half double crochets at the end. I was looking at my pattern to make sure I was saying that right. So 4 half doubles at the end is what you will have. So this is our last bobble of this row. Chain 1, 4, just like so. And then for the next part, it's just a chain 2, and we half double crochet all the way across. Remember, your chain 2 counts as that first half double, and we're just doing half doubles all the way across. And I'll just remind you again, just in case you forgot, you're going to do half doubles up to the bobble, and just remember that longer stitch right there, that one on the top, we're skipping that one, and we go into the next one. So don't work, and I'll show you from this angle, don't work this long stitch right here. We're skipping over that. If you work it, you will accidentally increase, and we do not want to do that. So that, my friends, concludes the bobble, and I'll like pop them out right here just so you can see them like that. So just a fun little bobble. Isn't that so cute? I love it. So that completes this bobble stitch, or what did we call it? The Blowin Bubbles rag. And you do that for the amount of rows that is told you in the pattern, and then you can do your edging. And again, once you get this all worked up with the edging, it's not gonna make like this silly little, you know, rounded rainbow looking arch. And this one too, it will use a good blocking as well, so you get that blocked and it'll lay nice and pretty for you. So that concludes the set of 5 handmade kitchen rags. I hope you like it. Again, if you are not subscribed to my channel, head down below and click that subscribe button and turn on bell notifications. And remember, if you're not on my email list, I know it's weird talking to my hands, but if you're not on my email list, I'd love for you to join me so that way I can send you free patterns every Friday straight to your email. It is Freebie Friday. And we've also got fun stuff going on Facebook, other fun stuff going on Instagram. So yeah, that all being said, I hope you have a great day, that you enjoyed this video, and I will see you next time.